This isn't a story you'll forget, not after today. It didn't start with explosions or drama. It started quietly, a normal day that flipped upside down without warning. One moment, everything felt safe. The next, nothing did. A loss came, unexpected, shocking, the kind that shakes the ground beneath your feet. And yet, even in the darkness, love refused to die. Survival didn't arrive like a hero in a movie. It came from a place deeper than fear, from a corner of the heart most people never visit until they have no other choice. Imagine your world shifting in an instant, your plans, your routines, your sense of control all gone, and the only path forward? To face it, or let fear take the reins. What she did next isn't the kind of thing you see on screen. It's raw, real, terrifying, and beautiful in a way that makes you question how you face your own struggles, the moments you avoid, and the risks you've been too scared to take. By the end of this story, you won't just know what happened, you'll feel it. You'll understand the strength humans carry when they refuse to quit. And maybe, just maybe, you'll start to see your own life differently, like fear isn't a wall, but a challenge waiting for you to rise. Stay with me, because this isn't just a story, it's proof that the human heart is far braver than we think. The day everything fell apart. Nothing prepares you for the moment life pulls the rug out from under you. One minute, everything feels normal. Coffee on the table, plans for tomorrow, familiar routines that make life feel safe. The next minute, it's gone, just like that. The loss came fast and hit harder than anything she could have imagined. It wasn't dramatic in a movie sense. No sirens, no chaos, just a quiet, sudden emptiness that stole the air from her lungs. One second, she was living life. The next, she was standing in the middle of it, stunned, wondering if she was even awake. For weeks, it felt unreal, like life was happening to someone else. The world kept moving around her, but inside everything was frozen. Conversations blurred into noise, days bled into nights. The things she used to notice, sunlight on the wall, a friend's laugh, even music, felt distant, almost meaningless. This is the moment most people break, and honestly, no one would blame them. Fear creeps in at times like these, whispering that it's over, that there's no way forward, that maybe this pain is permanent. Doubt wraps around you tighter than any blanket, convincing you to stay small, stay quiet, stay safe. But this story isn't about giving up. It's about what happens when you realize the only choice left is to keep moving even when the ground feels unstable beneath your feet. The fear doesn't vanish, it waits, patient and loud, but something inside her flickered, a tiny spark she didn't know she still had. And that spark, that's where the journey back began. Stay with me, because the next moments aren't just about survival, they're about courage, resilience, and discovering the strength you never knew you had. And by the end of this story, you might see that even when life falls apart, there's a way to rise again. When grief moves in and won't leave. Grief doesn't knock politely. It doesn't send a warning or wait for an invitation. It moves in, unpacks its bags, and takes over your mind. Slowly, almost invisibly at first, it creeps into every corner of your life. Nights stretch endlessly, filled with thoughts you can't silence. Sleep becomes a stranger, and every morning feels heavier than the one before. Memories play on repeat like a broken playlist you can't stop, each note hitting harder than the last. A laugh you once cherished now cuts like a knife. A song you loved feels like it's mocking you. Love turns into pain. Pain turns into anger at the world, at fate, even at yourself. You start asking questions that have no answers and staring at moments that feel frozen in time. But here's the part nobody really tells you. Grief doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means you loved deeply, fiercely, without hesitation. And that love, it leaves its mark, even when the person, the moment, or the thing you lost is gone. Then, almost imperceptibly, something unexpected begins to grow. A tiny spark, a quiet whisper inside that refuses to be extinguished. It's not relief, it's not happiness, not yet. It's just a subtle reminder that the heart is still alive, that you're still alive. And sometimes that spark is enough to guide you forward. Grief changes you, it tests you, it stretches every part of who you thought you were, but within that cane lies the possibility of strength you didn't know you had, a courage that waits quietly, ready to rise the moment you take that first shaky step forward. Stay with me, because this story isn't about giving in. It's about what happens when you let grief teach you rather than trap you, and how even the heaviest hearts can find a way to beat again. Love became the reason to stay. Right when giving up felt easier than breathing, something unexpected appeared, not in the form of a rescue or a sudden miracle, but as love. Not the soft, happy kind you see in movies. No, this was the fierce kind of love, the kind that doesn't ask for permission, the kind that leans in when you're broken, whispers in the corners of your mind and says, "You're still here for a reason. Don't quit now." At first, it was subtle, a memory that didn't hurt as much, a laugh that reminded them of better days, a quiet voice that said, "Keep going." But slowly, these fragments began to carry weight. They weren't just echoes of what was lost. They became reasons to stay, reasons to fight, reasons to rise. Love became fuel. Love became strength. It wasn't loud, flashy, or dramatic. It didn't roar or demand attention. It was steady, real, and undeniable. It rooted itself in every decision, every step forward, even when fear still whispered to stop. And that's when the shift happened. Survival wasn't just about making it through another day anymore. It wasn't about holding on to life like a fragile thread. This was different. It was about living with purpose, about finding meaning in the pain, learning from the loss, and letting love guide the way. This was the turning point, the moment where fear no longer had the final say, where grief and doubt still lingered, but they were no longer the drivers of life. Love had taken the wheel. And in that choice, even when the nights were long and the world felt heavy, there was power, there was hope, there was a reason to keep moving forward. Stay with me, because what comes next isn't just a story of survival. It's proof that even in the darkest moments, love can ignite a fire strong enough to carry someone through anything.
Survival mode activated. Survival isn't dramatic like the movies. There's no heroic music, no grand gestures, no standing atop a cliff declaring victory. No, survival is quiet. It's mundane and relentless. It's getting out of bed when every fiber of your being wants to stay under the covers. It's choosing one more day when your heart feels hollow, when the world seems heavy, and hope feels like a word from someone else's life. In those small, almost invisible moments, something started to shift. Slowly, piece by piece, life began to creep back in. Not the same life as before, far from it, but one built on lessons pain forced you to learn, on strength you didn't know you had, on resilience you thought had been broken. Each day became a step forward, each choice to keep going a quiet victory. The scars remained, they always do. Physical, emotional, unseen, they were reminders of the battles fought, the nights spent in darkness, and the moments when giving up felt easier than breathing. But those scars weren't marks of defeat. No, they became proof. Proof that pain didn't get the final word. Proof that loss didn't define the ending. Proof that love, whether for people, memories, or life itself, never really leaves, even when it feels like it's gone. And in that quiet, almost invisible survival, she discovered something powerful. Life wasn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It was about learning to move through it. It was about taking small steps when the ground feels like it's shifting beneath you. It was about showing up for yourself, even when the world wasn't showing up for you. This is survival. Not loud, not cinematic, not perfect, just real, just human. And sometimes the quietest victories are the ones that change everything. Stay with me, because the next chapter isn't just about surviving anymore. It's about thriving, about reclaiming your life, and about proving to yourself that fear and loss don't get to write the final chapter. The strength no one saw coming. On the outside, people called it bravery, strength, courage. They saw the results, the calm voice, the steady steps, the way she kept moving when the world seemed determined to push her down. But on the inside, it felt very different. It didn't feel heroic. It didn't feel like a movie scene. It felt like a choice to get out of bed when every part of her wanted to stay under the covers, a choice to speak up when silence felt safer, a choice to keep going when quitting would have been easier, faster, and less painful. Each decision was a battle fought quietly behind the scenes where no one could see. No applause, no recognition, just the raw, relentless push to keep moving forward, even when fear and doubt screamed at her to stop. This story isn't about being fearless. Fear was still there. Doubt was still there, but she refused to let them take the wheel. Real courage, she learned, isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward in spite of it. It's taking that shaky first step, even when your heart is pounding, your hands are trembling, and your mind is screaming for you to turn back. And that's what makes this story matter, because so often we underestimate quiet strength. We wait for the dramatic gestures, the big victories, the moments that look impressive from the outside. But the truth is, the moments that change everything are usually small, unseen, and messy. They're the choices made when no one is watching, when the world has already counted you out, when your heart is heavy and tired, but you move anyway. That's the strength no one saw coming. Not because it was flashy, but because it was real. And real strength, real courage, it changes everything. Not just for the person who carries it, but for everyone who witnesses it, even quietly.
If you've ever felt broken beyond repair, like the weight of the world was too heavy to carry, this story proves something powerful. You're still standing for a reason. Loss may change you. It may steal pieces of your heart, make the nights longer and the days feel hollow. Love may hurt. It may leave scars you didn't expect and memories that cut deeper than you thought possible. But survival is different. Survival is where legends are quietly born, not on stages or in applause, but in the moments no one else sees. Think about the times you felt like giving up, when fear whispered that it was too late, that the pain was permanent, that you weren't enough. And yet, here you are, breathing, moving, standing. That's the proof you need. Every scar, every sleepless night, every small victory, they're evidence that the human spirit refuses to quit. That courage doesn't have to roar. Sometimes it just refuses to stop. And that's what makes this story matter. It isn't a tale of perfection or instant triumph. It's raw, messy, and real, just like life. It's about the quiet strength inside ordinary people who keep moving forward even when the world tells them to stay down. It's a reminder that bravery isn't about being fearless. It's about choosing to show up again and again, even when it hurts. If this story hit close to home, know this: You are not alone. You are stronger than you think, and the moments you're struggling through now, they might just be shaping the part of you the world will one day call unstoppable. Subscribe to Lion War Brave Stories for more real-life stories of courage, resilience, and the unstoppable human spirit. Because these aren't perfect heroes, they're people like you refusing to let fear, loss, or doubt write their final chapter. So the real question isn't, can you survive? It's, what will you do with the strength you've already proven you have?